Hey, all right. It looks like we might be live. Let me check my signal here to see how we sound. I did some adjustments with my microphone, so I'm hoping it has a significant difference on how audible I am. It has a significant difference on Hannah. How audible I am. It has a significant. That is, I think that's as rich of a tone I've ever heard from my voice on this. Holy shit! Well, looks like we found a point. Maybe I can afford to drop down the main volume a few ticks. Drop that down to 40 there. All right, this is great. Hopefully, I've got the chest basically here on my the microphone here on my chest at this point. I'll lament the loss of my mascot hanging out on top of the microphone with me, but I think the sound volume it's probably worth it. I think the sound volume. Holy Hannah, yeah, that's really solid. So a new level. That's awesome. Let me go ahead and grab this link here. I think I'm done reveling in my own glory at this point. So let me get my social medias bouncing, and then we'll get back to work. We're going to work on Spelljammer for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I'm a huge Spelljammer enthusiast. I bought it at B. Dalton Bookstore in the mall when I was a kid growing up. Hold on, I just lost something. Mic check. Am I still? What did I lose? Microphone. That still works. It looks like the camera's still on. I can still hear myself vaguely in the. Okay, great. I guess it was a nothing burger. All right. Let's have that step aside here and see if I can keep moving forward today. So, yeah, I bought the original box set of Spelljammer. I think it was back, what was that, 1992, I think, when that came out. I've been DMing since 1987, so I was, like Greyhawk. Forgotten Realms. That was basically all they had when I stepped into it, and then they came out with Dragonlance, which is cool. Vistara, then Dark Sun, and Spelljammer, and Spelljammer, then Dark Sun. No, Spelljammer, then Planescape, then Dark Sun. There you go. Those are like the big capstone settings. By God, what great lore. So I fell in love with Spelljammer, and then when Planescape came out, I fell in love with that too. And I love how 4th edition had converted the Phlogiston into the Astral Sea, and then they kept the concept of the Astral Sea in 5th edition. I think that I absolutely love boats connecting the outer planes. When we were playtesting the Spelljammer mechanics that we have on DMsGuild, we were using Descent into Avernus as our playtest campaign. So that we'd have stuff that was already built that we could just like integrate the Spelljammer stuff into to act as a playtest environment. And boy, Descent into Avernus with fightercraft and Spelljammer ships is really fucking cool. I highly recommend it. And if I'm lucky enough, perhaps I'll live long enough to publish that for you guys so you can see how cool that is. But you'll just have to imagine in the meantime, I guess. Okay, so let's finish up our bookkeeping here on YouTube. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications. The documents that we're going to be working in today, there's the Spelljammer subclass book that we've been working on, where we have a unique subclass for all 13 classes from Dungeons & Dragons using the 2024 framework to build them. This is, let's see, and then we have the Warforged Machines document here. I'll probably end up naming this Spelljammer Monsters and Machines. I bet that's what it's going to end up being. So how about I just update that? Maybe Monsters and Machines. Spelljammer. How do we want to go? Spelljammer Kaiju. How about mega-kaiju and Mecha characters. That's a shitty title. But yeah, these are both read-only documents. So if you click on these things, if you click on these links here, it'll take you. They're read-only documents for you, but they're not even edited yet. But if you've been following along my stream here for the past few years, like for example, the Spelljammer Combat Exploration document that we published back in March this year, we did all of the illustrations for this book, here online during streams. So, and we talked forever about the mechanics on this while I was spending dozens of hours on illustrations or page art, organizing all this stuff. But the ship combat mechanics, in short, this document takes 5e combat that you know for your characters, and then does all of the little all the little logistic and rule mechanic bibs and bobs needed to be able to have 5e combat at the 50-foot and 500-foot scale, even 1 mile scale, so that like a 250-foot ship is like a pixie in a 5-foot square. A 2.5-foot tall pixie in a 5-foot square isn't that different from a 250-foot squid ship in a 500-foot space. The only real issue that you have to worry about is how do you handle scale, like simultaneous scale of my character existing at the 5-foot scale while also existing in combat at the 500-foot scale, and then in between those two, like TIE fighters and X-wing fighters from Star Wars, they're like 35 and 40 feet long each. So like iconic fighter craft fit inside 50-foot squares. So we did the breakdown of this in that we took basically all the mechanics of combat, movement, and spell casting from the Player's Handbook, DMG, Xanathar's and Tasha's, and basically took all those mechanics and then basically applied what would happen if questions and answers to like the 50 and 500-foot scale. Like, what if you could operate at this scale? What would it be like to have a 5-foot person next to a 500-foot monster? How do those things interact with each other? And so you have, like, here's an example of like the 5-foot scale where characters are aboard a ship, and how these ships can fit inside 50-foot squares. Like each of these little squares is 50 feet. So this is a 10 by 10 space at the 50-foot scale. So over here, it's a 500-foot square. It's like this here, this one little square here represents a squadron where you can see multiple ships inside that square. So you can use the exact same combat mechanics from 5-foot to 50-foot to 500-foot, even to the 1 mile or larger scale, if that's the scale that you're operating with ships. And the way that damage is calibrated between characters at the 5-foot scale, fighter craft at the 50-foot scale, and vessels at the 500-foot scale, and squadrons and stuff at the 1 mile scale, it all curves pretty smoothly from 5 feet to 500 feet. And being that you can have these things operate with each other and not just immediately destroy the world or whatever. So we spent a good solid 1.5 years developing it and play testing it, and then building it for like another 6 months here on stream. So we'll be going through that entire same process for the Spelljammer Monsters and Machines. Let's just go back to, I like that title better. It just seems better. There. Here. And so the mecha mechanics that we use, fantasy mecha and kaiju mechanics, uses all of the same mechanics that we have in the Spelljammer book, but instead of your ships being shaped like bugs, birds, and fish, they're shaped like people. So you can pick up and walk around and fly and hit people with 50-foot hammers, kind of like Gundam, right? Or Evangelion. So that's what we're building, fantasy mecha, and we have mechanics in the book to scale creatures in comparison to that. So let's see. Let's go to the end of the exploration section. Because right now it's kind of hidden in this block of text that we have about objects interacting with each other. And like, what is like collision damage? The size of an object and the material that it's made from, it basically sets how many hit points it has per 550 or 500 foot square. And as you get into larger size objects, the amount of damage that they take multiplies linearly. So even though like 3 dimensions, scaling up in 3 dimensions is like is exponential growth, but the hit points here we have are scaling linearly. It works. It still works because of the relative size to each other. Once we established a pretty good base point of scaling from 5 feet to 50 feet to 500 feet, we can do the same effectively with 50 foot to 500 foot to 5,000 feet, which is a mile, to 500 feet to a mile to 10 miles. We can keep that same as above, so below balance point across 3 different scales and be able to just tack on an extra 0 to the whole set to really just make it work. So it's surprisingly easy, and it doesn't really get distorted as far as creatures are concerned until you get over 100 miles. So as long as your monster is 100 miles or smaller, it's gonna work pretty well for you. So all the options that we're building for the subclasses is using 2024 mechanics, but leans into the ideas that we have inside of this book. The Monsters and Machines takes the human, the Warforged, the Spelljammer ships. Here they are. Hold on. There we go. Here's a bunch of Warforged. Here's a bunch of Spelljammer ships, right? They're all bug, or some of them are ship shaped, but a lot of them are bug, bird, and insect shapes, or fish, right? Fish, insects, birds, insects, and birds, fish, insects. There you go. But the way that the system works is the pilot basically like effectively wild shapes into that giant creature. And so when you're making melee attacks, like the squid ship's making melee attacks with tentacles, the spider ship is making attacks with its legs and its pincers. The scorpion ship is making melee attacks with its legs and pincers, and if you equip its tail with a melee weapon, then it can stab or punch or club you to death. Or you can equip it with ranged weapons, so you can have gun crew up top to be able to fire weapons. Your choice. But these all move and attack and function while it's piloted. It functions like an animal, just like like a druid would wild shape into a giant spider and then have combat like a giant spider. The exact same thing. Anyone that's piloting the ship is basically wild shaping into in this case, 200-foot long spider. Or for the fighter craft, this is an 80-foot spiderling. See, it's got room for harpoon flingers on top deck. Here's a ladder that goes inside. Each square is 5 feet. These can all be used as rams to stab and clean onto ships. This is a ballista on its front prow. So it has both melee and ranged combat options on the same vehicle. And these are all bug or whatever, animal-shaped stuff. So if instead you just make them human-shaped, you now have the means of wild shaping into a bigger shaped you. And so you can have big-shaped weapons with big-shaped armor and big-shaped shields, firing big-shaped crossbow ballistas, and attacking and having combat with creatures at a literal larger scale of battle than what you do at the 5-foot scale. So suddenly that 20-foot dragon that you're fighting is you're now grabbing it by the throat in a 50-foot mecha, and you're putting a pulse, a pulse wand up to its head and belting it for D4 times 10 force damage per pop. Now that works on the scale that we're operating. So when you get to that point, we can start looking at how many hit points do these creatures have, and how can we scale those out as mega-kaiju to be a larger scale threat for characters to encounter. So when we actually start building a campaign with these tools, we can have characters operating in dungeons at the 5-foot scale, in warfare scenarios at the 500-foot scale, and running around in light mecha at the 50-foot scale. And all 3 of these things can have different engagement and adventure using the 5e game engine that we already know. It's just now we have a broad a broad brush to be able to literally scale our challenges to any size that we want. So that's the goal of it, and of course it opens up cool things like running around in fantasy mecha, like making mechanized displacer beasts. That's kind of cool. So God's willing, once we get all this material pulled together, and we get an editor to help us build all this stuff out. We'll then be able to start doing the artwork for this, and by the time we get to that, the Eberron adventure that we do in the morning is probably going to be done. So once the Eberron adventure is done, we'll be doing a shitload of mecha and mecha combat and vehicle type artwork for the Spelljammer mega-kaiju book. So it's fun stuff up ahead. Hopefully, if any of y'all are interested in tagging along for the full mission, like, subscribe, blah blah. Love to have you. Let's see. So we are, where are we at? Monsters and Machines. Here's our table of content. I know I'm going to have to move Action Economy over. We've spent a lot of time developing out all of this gear. We've got this gear taken care of. War Machine, Statistics, Properties. We've got that taken care of. We already have the subclasses for the Artificer and fighting style stuff. Table of contents, character options, species. I love docents; those are cool. And then call it body frames. Autonomes versus Warforged. Okay, cool. So there's that, and then additional rules: co-piloting, siege commanders, pilot actions. Yeah, we need we can basically steal a lot of the combat and spellcasting section just straight out of the Spelljammer book that we've already built, just to have it be, just to be, so you don't have to look at additional documents if you don't want to. So we want some pre-generated stuff, spellcasting, pre-generated vehicles, amplified effects, environment exploration, vehicle combat, movement, pacing, pursuit. That's combat and exploration. Additional augments, weapon systems, and tools. Maybe this is where we should have the sample pre-generated vehicles. Let's grab that. Bring it up here. Burp. So, table of content, intro, cover. This is organizing. So cover, the intro, table of contents, character options, vehicle options, creating mecha, fantasy mecha. I don't know what the title's supposed to be. Fantasy machines. And then we have the pre-generated vehicles. And we have the next chapter, combat and exploration, vehicle movement, vehicle combat, environments and exploration. Let's create some space there. Let's see. Vehicle movement. Yeah, vehicle combat. That feels good. Environment and exploration. Thank you. Pre-generated vehicles. Good. Environment and exploration. Spell casting. Let's do it like that. Vehicle. Nope, that's correct. It's combat and exploration, vehicle combat, environment, spell casting. And then amplified casting, range targeting, single AoE damage, sample spells and effects, adventure and encounters, monster mega-kaiju, size and scale, statistics, properties, attacks and abilities, attacks and abilities, vulnerabilities, size and scale, movement, statistics, properties, attacks and abilities, vulnerabilities, sample kaiju, mega kraken. We have world turtles. Let's see. The Spelljammer. What else? Colossal spiders. Megapeds. Etc. Let's see. And then we have adventures and encounters, stuff from against the Avernus stuff, Eberron stuff, Storm King's Thunder. Yeah, we can potentially pull combat scenarios for each of those. So that's essentially the structure of the book. And if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. So this will probably be a 50-page book. That's a good chunky doc. I'm pretty good with that. So let's see where we're at. I guess we'll start here. Let me grab my snipping tool here real quick. We'll grab this. It's a point of reference. Docents. Forged Bodies. That's such a great title. Small and autonomes. This is Warforged. This is basically treating Warforged and autonomes as the same species, and that species is actually a docent. The docent is the little crystal that holds the sentience of the construct character, and you plug the crystal into its body, and it's either small as an autonome or medium size as a Warforged, or you could just plug it into a Warframe. I can't steal the name Warframe. What a fucking cool game that is. But that's essentially what we're talking about. Taking that spark of sentient crystal and putting it into your Warforged body. But you could also scale it up. So, you don't necessarily even need a pilot. You can have, if you're using docents in your campaign, every ship automatically has basically a permanent pilot in the form of a docent that you can plug into your chair, so that the chair always has a pilot active, so it can always maneuver. All you have to do is communicate with it so that it knows what to do. And it can be your co-pilot while you're piloting, because it's plugged into the system with you, and it can lend its action economy to you for you to be able to perform more tasks. The really neat thing about co-piloting mechanics and group initiative, even if you decide to keep individual stacked initiatives, if you have the frame of reference as group initiative, where a character that hasn't acted, that has action economy available and still has actions to take, can lend those actions to somebody else as aiding them, so that they can eat up their own action, their round of action, before their initiative even gets there. So by the time it gets to their initiative, it's like, yeah, I'm already cashed, and then you just move on to the next person. But the nice thing about that is you can add sidekicks and allies to buff your character's team, but instead of actually having like an entire extra person running around with the team, in this scenario where we're talking about like mecha and ship combat and adventuring, they just lend their action economy in as co-pilots. So you can use their attacks, their bonus action, and their reaction to augment and buff the actions that the pilot or a siege commander is already taking. So it's a really fun, fluid system that lets you add or just as easily subtract characters and their action economy from the operations of the ship during combat. So fun idea, fun stuff. It's super neat. So we're looking at the stats here that we already have for the forged bodies, and then well, hey Steve, what's going on? Yeah. Thank you. I actually changed how my microphone is sitting in relation to my body. So I appreciate you calling that out. Thank you. So let's see. We're looking at Spelljammer Fightercraft, which are up to 50 feet in size. It can use major minor helms. Let's see. And we have examples. IFW. Oh, Infernal War Machines. That's what that's supposed to be. Infernal War Machines. IWM. Thank you. Spelljammer vessels. These are, I guess, the type of... this is the... new condition destroyed. This was... We don't need the specialist stuff there. What else do we need? We have species. We have the body frames. We have building the frames. And then... do we have... Where do we have that? Fighting style. Titan pilot. I have to settle on a broad enough title for people to understand what mecha are without necessarily calling them mecha, because that's kind of a meta title that you have for big robots that people walk around inside of. So you have to come up with a fantasy cool name for it. Maybe War Titan. Nah, just Titans. Let's just go with Titans. Titan pilot. You can operate. You have proficiency. You have proficiency in piloting Titan constructs, as though it is your own body. In Spelljammer campaigns, this fighting style can be granted to any characters with martial weapon proficiency. In case you want to delineate between the two. And I'm going to leave off the Artificer Specialist, so I think that's good to go. At least initially. Let's see. Get rid of that. Let's call them Titans. God damn it. Oh, yeah, that's right. I called them War Golems. The War Golems are 50 feet. The War Titans are 500 feet. I forgot I was already using the title Titans. Well, if it's Spelljammer, I could call them Spell Golems and Spell Titans. How do I feel about that? Spell Titans? Nah, it sounds horrible. Spelljammer. Because ships that are up to 50 feet in size are craft, while ships to 500 feet in size are vessels. If it's bigger than 500 feet, it's basically a citadel or fortress. It can be maneuvered, but it's clunky. So the fast maneuverable stuff stays in the Spelljammer setting up to 500 feet. If you're going with a sci-fi setting, you can any size that you want to imagine your engines will allow you to go. But in Spelljammer, the engine size is up to 500 feet. But I believe I have all of that stacked out. So let me scroll down a smidge. Not happy. That doesn't roll off this ton either. Well, it's a work in progress. I'm sure by the time we get to printing it, we'll have figured out a decent title. But let's drop back down here into the pit. Fantasy. Machines. Bleep, 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 bleep. Bleep, bleep, bleep. Here. Character options. Boop. There. Fantasy Machines. Spelljammer Craft. New condition destroyed. When your vehicle has been reduced to 0 hit points, it is destroyed. A destroyed machine, vehicle, cannot move or be piloted until it isn't repaired to half its total hit point. For example, a 50-foot War Titan that has been destroyed can be piloted again when 50 or more hit points have been repaired. It's because you have to be able to put enough of it back together to be piloted, hence the restriction. Instead of just 1 hit point, you're good to go again. We make it a little bit more. Weapon scale cost. There you go. Progression of damage and size. Any weapon from the player's handbook, go ahead and grab it. At the 5-foot scale, it's the same. 10 foot is it's 2. So then it scales up 10, 20, 40, 50, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. It's not a perfectly smooth scale, but it works pretty good, and it corresponds with a lot of stuff that we see in the player's handbook already. So that works out. Let's see. movement scale, 5 foot scale, medium creatures, 30 feet, 3 miles per hour, 30 miles per 10 hours. Default movement. We're looking at movement scale. Why are we looking at movement scale? Material, properties, statistics. Movement stuff. Let's see. Power gear. Machine shops, good point. Power gear. There we go. Enhanced movements, land navigation, 100 gold pieces to install it, 50-foot square max speed, land only. That's 300 miles per hour, by the way, or at full sprint up to 600 miles per hour along the ground. Air navigation, 250 gold, 500-foot squares. That's 5,000 miles per hour. And then you get into intergalactic speeds, and then you have shift drives, so it's just plane shifting. There you go. So heavy armor plating. Oh, there we go. Thick builds, self-repair. Let's see. Where is the... That's weapon scale. Let's go... See if this Word document will open for me. There you go. I'm opening up the raw Spelljammer document. There we go. So we can get on down into here. All of this is still perfectly relevant. Ship materials. There and there. Bup, bup, bup. Let's grab this. Copy. Paste. Letter C. Good. Ship material. Now, I mean, we literally are just lifting all of this text because literally the only difference between the mecha that we're making and the creature, like the animal shapes that these vehicles already depict, the only difference is that they can pick up and use tools, as in like weapons and shields and shit. So there's not a lot of statistical differences from it, but I have to reprint it, which is another reason why I make all my stuff free to read, because I generally don't build just one book. I have like an idea about how things can operate, and then I will take like the core ideas of that concept and put that in like a starter book, like the flagship of the concept. And then as I continue developing the ideas and playtest it more and integrate it into the use of my own campaigns, I find more interesting ways to use the mechanics that ends up spawning additional books. But it's tangential information that could potentially be used independent of the original core book. So I end up printing a lot of the duplicate rules, the underlying physics that make those options in that book work. So I have to reprint all that stuff. So like you're going to get like pretty much a reproduction of like 4 or 5, maybe 10 pages from this book in the new book. So when you see, hey, this is a 50-page book, it's like, yeah, but 40 of them, only 40 of it's new. I don't like to have that. That just feels deceptive to me. To not like to resell the same content again. It's necessary for context, but I'm not happy with it. Can I? Oh yeah, good. That does drop in. Beep 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 doo. Material, ship statistics, resistance, construct material. There we go. That's the species stuff. Fantasy machine, ship statistics, ship materials. There it is. Blip. Good. What else do I need? Don't need those. Don't need that. Facing, maneuverability. No, this is relevant. Yeah. Let's see. That's down. Movement scales. Thick build with 2 C's. What are you doing, Kearney? Let's go down to combat. That's where we want to be. Ship combat. This all looks like garbage right now. It's gonna do that for a while because it's a mock-up basically, right? I'm basically just grabbing the chunks that I need and organizing it. Let's look at liquid versus solid terrain. Yeah, let's toss it in. Buttons. I do not need this. Solid terrain, liquid terrain. Pretty good. Anything else I need? Nope, that's all I needed from there. Have the helms already, right? Have the power gear. That's all resolved. So let's go up past the power gear and look at helms. So the these machines have power systems, and it's basically like mana crystals, and the more the mana crystal itself makes the thing go, but it can also have additional reservations of mana energy held inside of it that can be used to operate various optional combat and exploration systems inside of the machines. So here's your list of powers that are divided up into exploits. Let's see. And maneuvers. Reactions. Strikes. And sustained effects that you can have in or like while you're in your Warforged or your War Machine. There it is. Fighting style, War Gun Pilot, and character of the style is free. There. Let's pluck that and bring that up to the top to the character options. There, fighting style, War Golem Pilot. Huh. In a vehicle-themed campaign, a character gains this stuff for free, including Artificer, Barbarian, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, while spellcasters must spend a feat to access pilot combat. You can pilot War Golems as though it is your natural body. There you go. Fantasy Machines. So let's go back down to the power systems, and then above that should be helms. Power systems. Power gear. Yeah. Magic items, enhanced movement. There's our helms. Basic landcraft, air nav. Yeah, this is all good. So power gear, got it. And then defining what these are. I don't like the weapons being here. That seems like a weird spot for these. And these are samples here that we don't necessarily need right now. New condition should stay here. Damage reduction, cargo and towing limits. There, new condition, destroyed. Vessels, here's their stats. These are samples. Where do those go? Statistics. And then we're looking at sample vehicles further down below. Don't need that. We can drop down here. Past the power systems. Ship combat. Here we go. Bloop. Craft vessel. Power systems. And now I think after, let's see, where you go to buy war machines and power gear. Movement scales. Cargo and towing limit. Cut movement. Drop that down to combat. Ship facing and maneuverability. General movement. Ship facing and maneuverability would come after terrain. Terrain would naturally be a part of facing and movement. So solid terrain, liquid terrain. Play testing. Let's just keep pushing that down. We're not there yet. Ship facing maneuverability, that feels good. Liquid terrain, terrain feels good. Let's get, let's see, we're looking at sample machines. Power gear. Right, because we need to have all the weapons and armor and stuff first before we can deck out and build sample mecha, because we have to have all that stuff with the statistics. So power system is good. Integrated orrery, integrated tools, unnatural. That's damage type. Self-repair. Thick builds. Heavy armor plating. Machine shop should be in here. That's power gear. Those are helms. Helms should be up. here. There, that makes sense for the helms. Yeah, because that's at the end. It's at the end. Yeah, that's the proper place for it. Wow. Okay, good. Weapon scale, size. So let's snip that. Let's take it, drop down to the bottom because weapons and armor should come last. Let's go back up. We got power gear first. Power systems after helms makes a lot of sense. Thick build, self-repair, weapon damage types. There we go. Unnatural attacks and damage types. Ram attacks, integrated orreries, integrated tools. Here we go, power systems. List of powers. Here. As your vehicles, machine shops, sample machines and machine shops. We have weapon scale down here. Now we have, there we go, unnatural attack damage types, weapon damage types, cut, weapon scale, there. Good. And damage types. Good. Armor and weapons. My mouse is acting funky. Did that help? Maybe. Weapons, weapon scale, ram attacks. Thick build, heavy armor plating, integrated orreries, integrated weapons, weapon type, unnatural attacks. And then we have rams. No, the ram attack should actually be under combat specifically. Movement scales, ship facing and movement. Ram attacks fit in pretty naturally here. But I think we've got all this, roughly what we need. Other than like the actual sample machines themselves. But roughly the rules, all the rules that we need for them are in here. They're just very poorly organized right now. Very shorthanded. But they do exist. It is all relevant. So that's good. Let's drop ship combat down to the next page. Just for tidiness. Sample machines looks good on its own block. All right. Power systems. I feel like you should be on your own page. Helms, power systems. Max rank. Very rare. Shift drive. Helm. Minimum. Or rather, minimum per helm. I watched Secret Level Dungeons and Dragons last night. It's pretty cool. It was very well built. Yeah, I dug it. Would 100% watch again. I can take the helms and drop them underneath the power systems. And here's your Artificer Infusions. I was wondering about that. Let's go push that up into the character options again. Hey, we're coming along with this book. It's a little sloppy, but we're making our... I'm having issues with my mouse. The mouse wheel is getting stuck again. You are not long for this world, mouse. You are not long for this world, mouse. So like this. There. There, okay, we got that broken apart. Better now. Power systems, yes. Helms, hell yes. Come on, buddy. Land navigation. Waterborne ship. Air navigation. I think this is going to be minor helm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, minor, major, and ship drive. Minor helm. Major helm. And was it plane jamming? Is that what we called it? Plane shifting. Plane shifting helm. Rarity, cost. Let's see. Powers. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. There. 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 Constructs can be built with power systems allowing for more powerful can be built. Constructs are built with magical engines that power increasingly that power helms, and additional powers that fuel that feed that supply the power to helms, and additional that supply the mana to helms and additional powers. There are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 degrees of. There are 6 tiers of power systems corresponding to the rarity of magic they are identified as. They are categorized. There are 6 categorized by the rarity of magic used to create them. There. Rarity, cost, powers, max. That's 1,000, and that's 4,000, and that's 40,000. How does that go? Let's look it up. Dungeon Master's Guild 2024, or I'm sorry, Dungeon Master's Guide 2024, and magic items, magic item rarity, value. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, two, three, four. Thank you. $400, 4,000, 40. Okay, so this is 10 times that scale. And then land navigation. My mouse is sticking again. Magic items taken on top of the power system, and then you have to buy the helm separate from the power system. But when you do, these are all the powers that you get for that with that power system as well. And then there's additional magic items that you can build and equip. Let's increase the size on that. 15. I stream 10 times per week. Monday through Friday in the morning, I do artwork. I didn't today because I had doctor stuff to do. Everything seems to be in working order. Let's stay positive on that front. But then I always take the day off when I do doctor stuff. So doctor's appointment was at 8. I got that resolved. I was back at the computer by 10. And we worked on Bastions for a good 3.5 hours this morning. Now we're working on here. What time is it? 7 o'clock, is that right? Been at this for, what, an hour and a half? An hour. Okay, good. List of powers, exploits. There we go. After the powers. And there's the things that you can just do at will, or they eat up a bonus action. They chew on your action economy in some way. But for the most part, they work pretty well. We've play tested a bunch of this stuff using the martial power system, so I know it works. We're just upscaling it. Power gear, magic items for your vehicles. Heavy armor plating, thick build, soft repair, integrated ori, integrated tools, weapon scale, weapon damage types, unnatural damage types, sample machines, craft and vessels, machine shops, the value in machine shops, combat. Now we have ship combat. Ship combat goes like burr. But yeah, this is all good. So let's go back to the front end of our document and start parsing out ship combat. We can drop all that stuff in here. Once we've dropped all the sections and assets from the other book in here, we'll be able to just slowly fill in the details until we've got everything that needs to be said and all the caveats covered. And once we have all the caveats and bits covered, then we get to start playtesting it. And I know that's going to go easily because I've already playtested various fighter craft and vessel combat in Descent into Avernus. We did some squadron combat stuff in Horde of the Dragon Queen, as well as Light as the Raxus adventure. So we've had a lot of opportunities to playtest this stuff. It works well. Other DMs that are running it say that their players like it and that it's working well. So that's great news. That's all really, really great news. Hold on. Yeah, we can do that. What time is it? 7 o'clock? I'll stick around a little bit longer. Combat and exploration. That's what it's called. So let's go down here. Combat exploration. Vehicle movement. Movement scales. Maneuverability. Drop down. Vehicle. Combat. Ship facing. Let's see, movement scale. Distance. There you go. Ship facing should come before liquid and solid terrain because it does modify it depending on the kind of vehicle. Movement scale. Maneuverability. go to our document and look at what do I need? Static and relative movement. Stationary targets, closing, opening distances. Shifting scale with moving targets. Yeah, I feel like I should just steal this whole block. Shifting scale with stationary targets. Shifting scale as detailed above. How much do I need to shift scale? I'm going to have recommended size of scale depending on the size of the mecha that your characters are in. If they get out of the mecha, that they're going to drop them down to the 5-foot scale, which means they need to be able to shift from the 50 to 5 to 50-foot scale, or 5 to 500-foot scale. Okay, yeah, yeah, it's important. Okay, cool. Shifting scale. So, movement scales, ship facing and maneuvering. We call this shifting scales. Yeah, fine. Let's see that be. I don't need to get futzy about it right now. Closing distance. Opening distance. Shifting scale with moving targets. Lots of mechanics. Gotta have lots of explanation for working at larger scales. Thank you. Come on. Jive turkey. Thank you. Anchor bit. The anchors get in the way. I have to move them so I can grab the text. Copy. Paste. Behind text, thank you. Copy. Paste. There. Stationary and moving targets. Rest of the text. This is movement maneuver. This is maneuverability stuff. Solid terrain. Liquid terrain vehicle combat. What else do I need? There's surging. Pacing. Pursuits. So for now, we can just, like I said, we can just pick these things up, just whole cloth. And then once we get into the actual stage of making this Warforged, no, like machine specific, we can update all of it. Pursuits. And we don't necessarily need to worry about aligning gravity planes unless grappling is important. That gets down into actual vehicle combat. Where am I? What just happened? Powers. Oh, cute. Okay. Vehicle combat. Rams. Grappling. Opportunity attacks. These are a few of my favorite things. Grappling. Undersized grappling attacks when you're too small to actually stop the thing that you're trying to hold on to. Oh, that should be 4 rams. There. And then actually ramming. Copy. Paste. Scuttling is a thing. We should keep that in effect. Squeezing into smaller spaces is relevant for the ships. That's just about covering everything that we need. Hit points and size as a sidebar is important because it affects whether you have advantage or disadvantage on attempts to topple things. So smaller spaces, grammar attacks, scuttling. Squeezing, that's good. Oh yeah, now we're on the ship rolls. Got it. Got it. Okay, we're gonna have to pluck all that stuff. Thank you, Timely Timer. So let's take a sip of hot cocoa. Oh, that's so good. And chase it with a bit of water. There we go. All right. Pilot actions. So let's get into that. There we go. Taking damage for the ship. Come on, man. Thank you. Damage and AOA. I don't need to duplicate all of it because there are mostly only copy, paste, palette actions. There are, for the most part, only actions. Where's that A? Got a random A laying around down here. That's random. Neat. All right. So we'll drop it down to here. Whatever. Tap nugget. Fuck off. Why is this centered? Alignment. There. Ship. Don't have to worry about commanding weapons and crew. Taking damage to weapons and crew, don't have to worry about that. Taking damage to a squadron, don't have to worry about squadrons. This is just Mecha that we're messing around in this book. Support role. Ship support role. Co-piloting. Sharing command of a single ship. Horribly formatted. Let's see. Only weapon, amount of weapons. Okay, so we have the pilot role stuff taken care of. All of that actions done. Additional roles, combining characters, siege action. Did we get the Spirit Group Initiative? There. That blips out that section. So now we can move up to the east side. Gotta get a piece of the pie. How many pages are we at now? 30 pages and growing. Yeah. There we go. First half of this book. And again, if you want to look at all this stuff that I'm cutting and pasting, the document is here, right down here in Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. And you can click on full-size review. And you get all 107 pages. You can look at literally every page that I've been digging through here. Like all of the, like if you want to see what those options are for characters that are piloting ships in Mecha, here you go. Here's the full list of it. You literally just saw me tear this page apart. But this is what it looks like when it's not in when it's not in Microsoft Word. Looks a lot prettier, huh? That's how the page sits here. And when you bring it in here, it gets richer. Like it's enriched. The color is not muted anymore, so it looks a lot more bold. Anyway, that's there for you guys to check out. Let's see. We're looking at environment and exploration. I feel this is a section I need to actually write up. Environments and exploration. So let's there it is. Let's just grab that block. Copy that. Bring it on down. Rip. Bold and size up. These are going to be describing how to perform skill checks in machines of larger size. Let's see. Perception, investigation, stealth. Persuade. Study. Search and study. Movement, utilize. Hazards and obstacles. What is this? This is taking action. Actions in taking actions through machines. Hazards and obstacles feels like it should be a thing. Visibility. Difficult. Terrain. Burning. Let's see. Cover. That seems about right. Still have stuff to write about that. Spellcasting, we're going to gank a lot of spellcasting out of the spellcasting chapter. So let's go steal. Down to, oop, we went the wrong way. So let's see. That took care of spell casting, amplified casting, range targeting, damage. There it is. Area effect, damage, single targets. Let's just blip you out of here for a moment. Copy. Undo. Amplify, range, targeting. I think damage has already been taken care of. Oh, here we go. Duration and damage. Weapon attack damage. Movement. These are all very useful pieces of machine. Hey, look, there's text there. Oh, wow. Hold on. What's going on? Hey, Omni. I didn't see you drop in. Influence. Oh, yeah, you're right. Dude, what word did I use? Spells, environment, conditions, taking action. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right. Influence. Thank you. I should catch up. Hold on. Yes. Deception, intimidation, persuasion. Right. Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. The thought of Mecha making an animal handling check to scare a beast that amuses me. I mean, there are. We are dealing with mega-kaiju. Deception, intimidation, performance. Performance, persuasion. So the goal of the project is to build machines that function and operate as easily and elegantly as just you would normally be able to move and gesture on your own. So theoretically, you should be able to influence things. And yes, if you've got a 100-foot mecha that's trying to corral a 1,000-foot Kandori, then animal handling would come in very much handy. We have instances of using animal handling when capturing Kandori to pull or to tow your ship if it gets stranded in light of Zaraxis when you're fighting Hastane. If he's able to disable your helm for X days and then you defeat him, but then are left stranded, then you can take a landing craft and nip out 1,000,000 miles in a day and bump into some Kandori, wrangle them together with an animal handling check, and then bring them back to your wrecked ship. Have them strap on to the frame and then drag them off to your next destination, which in this instance is Topola's Tower. But thank you. Yes, thank you for the clarification. And yes, I do like that idea. So totally viable. I could have done that in a 50-foot mecha just as easily. Here's the notable spell section. Although we need to update Blade Ward, we have to update all this stuff. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Right now, I'm most inspired to work on this. Copy. But yeah, we're gonna have to update the entire book to use 2024 stuff. Drop down here. But yeah, right now we're just stealing code. Movement. Up and attack damage. Yeah, there we go. So we got this resolved. Dun, 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 sample spells and effects, which we'll fill in as we go. So that takes care of that. So let's go back to the front end of our document. Now we want to get into the mega-kaiju portion of the book, since that's where we're at now. Cutty pasty. How you doing, Omni? Drop it down to the bottom of the bolt. Cantrips. These are a few of my favorite things. Bop, bop, bop. Notable spells. Bop, bop, bop. There we go. Oh, no. That's the wrong way to do that. Come on, Kearney. There. Yeah, right on. What kind of barbarian stuff are you working on? Barbarians are pretty cool. Let's go to the exploration section of the book, and let's grab void tracking, wild states, procedures, objects in the void, flotsam, drifting objects, object size and hit points. Thank you, Timely Timer. I said thank you, Timely Timer. Let's see. Size and scale. Delete. No. Delete. Let's go to condition stuff. I see text. Hold on. I see text, people. Hit points, colliding objects. I need all this stuff right now. paste, copy, paste. Cool. And we have that already, so we can grab this. And then I can catch up on whatever it is that you're writing. Just 5 minutes, worm, your honor, he and me alone. No! What's up? It's made one of the high-risk reward called Paladin Painkiller and one holiday thing called the Path of... Oh, those both... Path of Revelry sounds like a really smart idea. And Path of the Painkiller, right on. That seems on theme for Rager. Digging it. Let's see. We have size and scale. Check. We have statistics and properties. Not yet. We need to build those out. Movement is going to basically be overland. No, that's cap locks. Overland equals 50 foot. Airborne equals 500 foot. Let's see. Minor helm. Wait. Minor unnatural flight. Major unnatural flight. And plane shifting equals plane shift. Equals 100 million miles per day, 1,000 miles square. Combat movement equals 1 million miles per day, which is a 10 mile square max size. 5,000 feet equals cannot leave orbit, equals land climbing swimming only. So your movement scales, your statistics, numbers, discuss scaling ability, checks, discuss ability, discuss how ability checks are modified while interacting between scales. The easiest example of this would be like a character that's naturally at the 5 foot scale is interacting with a mega scale creature like a 5,000 foot dragon or some crazy crap like that. Like how well can you interact and have ability checks that would actively engage, like mentally challenge each other at different scales, knowing that physically the larger scale entity is pretty much going to trump the smaller scale one, unless the small one's like trying to hide or potentially dodge things. Hard to say there. So finally, some real more aesthetically than blind range. That's awesome. A working theme in the who likes to party. That's bacchanal to a lethal degree. Like willing to drink yourself to death. That's awesome. I see a ton of like that's a real Rakdos hedonist sort of barbarian idea. I love that idea. The idea of a Rakdos paladin. This sounds like that's a good alignment for that. I don't recall if you're a Ravnica MTG enthusiast or not, Omni. Sorry. But if you know, you know. That just drips Rakdos so heavy. I love it. Properties. I'm not sure what's needed here. Not sure what I need here. Probably look at conversion guide. Probably need to build a guide to convert from monster manual creatures to mega scale kaiju. So we don't have to really. If I do this correctly, we can take a stat block from the monster manual, and then convert the ability scores and stuff like that to work with the mega scale, and then probably be able to leave all the features alone. Just make indication of like what the scale increase is. Like if it's a 50-foot scale creature, and it would normally have like anything within 30 feet of it, blah de blah. Then it would get converted to anything within 300 feet of it, blah de blah. So we'll be able to build a conversion guide for that and multiple samples of doing so. Plus, we'll probably have some bonus perks, attacks and abilities stuff that we can toss in. We need to have a section on vulnerability. When under scale characters, when I can hear myself way too much with the microphone where it's at right now. I need to adjust my personal volume down. That's just too much. There we go. That should work okay now. Let's see. What do I want to write here? I thought I was going to get the subclasses, but I don't think I'm going to get the subclasses. I mean, we've already built out all the subclasses. Right now, we're going through the refining stage, but this felt like this felt like the furthest back from the goal. So I wanted to advance this forward. So all these Spelljammer projects are moving forward a bit. So vulnerabilities, how underscale characters can defeat overscale monsters by hitting vulnerable spots, or how to trigger vulnerability to a type of damage. And that sounds worthwhile. And boy, that's really fucking simple. Attacks and abilities. There. Cut. Paste. And vulnerabilities. And then sample kaiju. And then after the sample kaiju, sample encounters and adventure guidelines. All right, this is technically everything that we need. This will stack on another 10 pages, but as it sits currently, it looks like we're at what? 40 pages? Yeah, and then stack on another 10 pages. So yeah, this looks like it's going to be like around 50, 60 pages. You've indulged in magic before, and you're familiar with Rakdos. So that sounds like you agree. Because of Paladin of Revelry. That sounds fucking awesome. All right, so we have the rough skeleton and the very rough writing across 60 pages in this document. Again, this is a read-only document for you guys right now, but and you can read the original format in the Spelljammer book here that we have on DMsGuild. Again, it's 100% free preview, so you can see the Warforged Machines book here, and the Spelljammer Combat Exploration on DMsGuild is here, and of course you can click on all the other stuff that I have, my MTG stuff or whatever. So that's all good. Let's clear this out of the way. And where are we at? 7:30. We've been streaming for like 90 minutes now. Ooh, wow, almost 2 hours. No wonder I'm starting to feel fatigued. You know what? I think I'm okay stopping here for the night. We made some decent progress. I know it's sometimes this stuff isn't very exciting. One of the major goals I have for the stream is to literally show the process that it takes to be able to build books. And it's obnoxious and slow at times and frustrating and repetitive. Artwork's a lot more fun to do. I'm going to not save this. Artwork's a lot more fun to do because I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I can just turn off my brain and do shit. So I'm going to stop this here, but I think I've got I've got a little bit of juice left in me. So let's go down to here and let's just fuck around a little bit. So since we're building Mecha, we have a lot of design space that we can go with. We can build out kaiju as well as machines based off of different creatures that are in the monster manual. I would not presume to eventually do all of them, but it gives us a ton of room to play with. So I am having ideas about what I want to do. Maybe not like that. Not like this. Too late, Twitch. No, switch. We'll go like this instead. Here, and then here. Here. Something like that. Go with War Mace. Like that. holds a ballista in one hand like a crossbow. So dope. Let's get that out of the way. Just doing some doodling. Just seeing kind of cool shit we can make. Did the gorilla make the cut in? Yeah, it was. Yeah, wait, yeah, it was in 25. Let's do that. The other. Yeah, I don't think I like that. Yes, thank you, Timely Timer. Keeping time for us all. Don't want to forget when we are. There, then here. There we go. That's looking more like the kind of cool that I like. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. So this sits inside of a 100 by 100 foot space. At the 50 foot scale, this would be a 2 by 2, like a size large construct. At the 5 foot scale, 10 by 10, would be a 2 by 2 at the 5 foot scale. But with mega-kaiju, this becomes a 100 foot, so it's 10 by 10. So it would be dealing, what, 7, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this would be doing 7d8. Like, this is a normal hammer, but it's just really big. So it'd be like 7d8 damage. There, Minotaur, 100 foot golem. Let's build something else. I can't quit you. There you go. Nice. That fits nice. What's something else cool that we could pull together? See how this turns out. Something like this, perhaps. Maybe more like this. And then let's bring that down a touch here. Oh yeah, that's worth considering. Hold on. like that. I just kind of smudge shit around until I start liking shapes. And then I carve away the stuff that I didn't like and just leave what's left as stuff that I liked. That's how the process is supposed to flow. Whether it does or not really depends on how healthy am I feeling at the moment, or emotional condition, or blah blah blah. There, like that. There. That looks kind of garbage. It's a hot fucking mess right now. There we go. That's looking better already. I'm forgetting how horse legs work. There, now it finally started looking cool. Took a while. Mechanized horses for everyone. There's a skill comparison. You know what? I think I'm going to be okay for today. This feels like the place to stop. My brain just said click. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to decompress for the night. I'm going to get some good sleep. I'm going to wake up and get some more Eberron artwork done and then come back at lunchtime. I'm going to work on Bastion. I think... Are we going to work on Bastion some more at lunch? Maybe we'll go through subclasses at lunch tomorrow, the Spelljammer subclasses tomorrow. And just chew on those a little bit more, just to help lock down the language more, straighten up the document. We already have all 13 subclasses built. Now it's an issue of maybe just fucking around with the language for a while until we lock that down. And start adding in flavor text to the different abilities. That seems like the right thing to do. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cut here for now. We'll be back tomorrow morning at probably 6:30 a.m. Seattle time. That will be a mere 10.5 hours from now. So thanks a lot for hanging out, guys. I appreciate the feedback. Omni, as always, thrilled to have you. And Steve, thanks for coming back by as well. I will catch all you guys in the future. So cheers. Thanks a lot.